Hi,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for willing to do this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I could just jump around then before getting to Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
So I know in terms of a professional voiceover, it started with additional voices for Iruma-kun.
Yeah, it actually started with I did additional voices for Hunter x Hunter, but I was an intern at that time. But then as a non-intern, I did Rumakun, yeah.
Was your goal for voiceover specifically to work in anime?
um I think that I this is funny. When I first started, I thought that anime would be the easiest way to get started because that's what I was told. And I also really enjoy anime. The weirdest thing for me is since I've been working, I have not done much anime. I have gotten, I've done better in other fields.
Are you also do you have a SAG story, or are you waiting to get into SAG?
I'm SAG eligible. I yeah, I work we did a union thing for like a live play series I did, so that made me eligible. And then I did a game that isn't out yet that I can't talk about for years.
Oh, okay.
I'm just barely skirting SAG because I don't want to pay the
Right.
$3,000 yet.
So what do you kind of just work in all kinds of fields of voiceover then?
Yeah, so far I've been lucky enough to do motion capture games. I've done like dubbing games like Fire Emblem. I've done original animation, audiobooks, and yeah.
And is there has there been a case where you've had to alter your voice really significantly for anything?
Yeah, I mean, Ash is different than my normal voice. uh, Generally speaking, I never know what my normal voice is because it can be like around here on some days, and then it can be around here if I'm doing customer servicey stuff. But with Ash, I did plan for it to be a little higher, and then with other stuff, I planned for it to be a little deeper.
I know with Heroes that most people have said that it was a pretty general audition for them when it came through. Was that your case? Too?
Yeah, you did. I didn't know it was Fire Emblem. They used a different piece of art for the character, so I
Right.
didn't know what Ash looked like.
And
She had a different name. Everything was different.
and how long of a gap was there between the audition and then landing the part?
I think it was like a week or so, which is pretty quick.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. I've
And
had some things where it's like, I mean, some people have talked about like a year later you hear or something, and then I've had a lot of things where I'm like, oh, I did awful, I didn't get it, and then a month later, like, oh, it's a callback, and I'm like, oh.
and was that Caitlin Galt directing you?
Yes, it was.
Could you easily relate to Ash's character?
Yeah. The thing on the specs was like that she over explains herself. Like she's trying so hard to be polite that she messes up. And I was like, I really relate to that because I have a tendency to ramble, and I've talked about it, but I'm autistic. And you want to make sure you're saying the exact right thing, but then you mess up and you say too much instead of when you could have said too little or other things. And I think Ash is very much like that.
Yeah. Do you have a single favorite line, do you think?
I love the line where it rambles off and it cuts her off before.
Yeah.
Because I remember when recording, they're like, okay, so these are really long lines. Don't worry if you need like multiple takes, like we can do split it in half or stuff. But I talk like this naturally, so I just did it like one breath.
Did you know during the recording that she was going to be kind of like the face of
I
Heroes?
did. They told me, and I was like, oh.
Were you already playing the game?
Yeah, I started playing it on day one.
Okay.
Lucina is number one. I also really like Edelgard and Rajat. I like Florina a lot.
Are those who you main to then?
My current main team, I'm trying to get more into the meta, so but I try to make it meta that has characters I like. So my current main team is sort of like I switch it around, but it's Ash, Fallen Edelgard, the really good Shield Fjorm, and Brave Erica.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But I
are you
also, yeah, I have New Year's Peony. I use her a bit.
okay? It seems like you're friends with a lot of people in the cast too.
I'm, yeah, Yeah. I mean, generally the community is very small.
Right.
So everyone's been very welcoming since I moved to LA.
What are your thoughts on Ash's relationship with Asker or like other characters?
I like to joke that he's her dad, but obviously there's like we don't know that much about it yet. It's sort of like as she says herself, like she doesn't consider herself like a full person necessarily because she was created by Asker as this sort of like not like a robot, but that's kind of what I leaned into when I was playing her, which is like I thought of like Aegis in Persona 3, where it's like that very you were created for this purpose, and you also have a very specific way of speaking, and but then the other people around you help to make you realize about humanity and stuff like that. Which I'm like, I'm also with the stuff like with her losing the feeling in her life. I have no idea what's going on for Ash. Obviously, I just recorded the lines, but I'm like, ask her, do something about this. Save my girl.
Well, it was really interesting that because I just recently did Dustin Rubin, who is Asker, and he said that he had that session like almost a year ago.
Yeah, my Ash session was a year ago too.
Oh. So yeah, you guys probably didn't even know anything going in.
I didn't know that he was voicing Asker until this moment.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I'm sorry, Dad.
And it was cool too that when I did Embla, Mayana Baron, that she actually got to like play off of Dustin's lines.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I didn't. You usually, from what I know, you usually don't get to hear anyone.
Right.
You also don't hear the Japanese. I don't know if that's because it's like recorded at the same time or if they want to do different interpretations, but it's usually just you in the script.
And do you think that you have a personal preference for working on more like serious projects opposed to lighter? Or?
It depends. I think lighter things are really, really fun to do, but I also really like serious. I think I would get bored if I did one of the other. Like when I recorded Ash, I was also recording more serious stuff, and it was really fun to go and just be like, I'm a cute cowgirl.
Right.
But if I did cute cowgirl stuff all the time, I'd be like, I want to do something else.
I can't really see it ever happening, but it would be really cool if there was ever a fallen version of her.
Oh yeah. Once she loses all her feeling in her legs and she comes after Asker.
Yep. Has there been a case where you've had to get to like a really dark, emotionally involved headspace for any role yet?
I went to theater school, so they just did that to you on a daily basis. I will say, like, I've had it with a bunch of auditions. I haven't booked a lot of them lately. Most of my stuff that I've booked, I've booked has been fairly positive, but there are some auditions where they're like, hey, here's a child abuse scene, and I'm like, okay. And also I recorded a bunch of auditions. I lost a family friend in December, and I recorded a bunch of auditions that were about mourning around that same time, and I was like,
oh,
I didn't know if I wanted to dig into it or if I wanted to avoid it, which is tough as an actor. Mm-hmm.
And have you also had any opportunities to do boy voices for stuff yet?
Yeah, I think I have one in Genshin Impact that's out already that I play a little boy in there.
I've also found that people's processes for boy voices are kind of different. Is there anything that you do specifically?
It really depends on the character because it's also the style of the game or whatever it is. Because starting when I first started like learning about voiceover, like it was really like this kind of character was the boy voice. And nowadays you hear a lot of where it's sort of like this. So I really try to pay attention to the style. Oh, this is a meal from Nier. I don't know why I slipped into that. But I really try to pay attention to the style of what is going to be, who the boy is, what he needs to be. Like if you're doing like a Beyblade, for example, it probably needs to be the rough and tumble boy. But if you have something that's more like a JRPG little brother or something like that, it's more of the soft.
And speaking of Genshin, were you auditioning for a playable character?
I've auditioned for a few playable characters. I do not play one to my knowledge. I would love to, but I play a few NPCs.
Mm-hmm. I know, of course, you have a pretty crazy character in Smite.
Oh yeah, she's really fun. Because I love haunted dolls. I have a where is he? I have a cat clown doll. I was about to say cow. I'm thinking too much about cows.
Yeah,
But this is my clown doll.
that's cute.
His name is Hurdy Gurdy. But my friends think those sort of things are really creepy. But when I got that character, I was like, yes.
Yeah. So is there anything else that's upcoming or part of you can safely talk about?
There's a lot of stuff that's upcoming. I cannot talk which sucks for both of us, I know.
Okay.
My most recent thing that I was really proud of the performance on was I did an audiobook, which was Unbroken, 13 stories about disabled teens. I did 2 roles in that, which was one was I was the narrator in a play in many parts, which is this sort of it's structured like a script or a screenplay, which was a really interesting thing, I thought. And it's a story about theater and theater kids, and they really play with that. So I got to read all the stage directions, which felt like I was back in theater class. Yeah. And then the other one where I play like the main character narrator is A Curse of Kindness, and it's about like an autistic teenager who falls in love with another girl. And I was like, oh, this is so good. It was really fun to play that, especially because I just kind of like went into like a natural part of my voice, and I went into like a deeper part, but I'm often told that sounds too old for a teenager, but they're like, yeah, that's just perfect. We like it for this character. She needs to be a little standoffish, but she's not mean. And I was like, yay.
Yeah, that's great. So is there anything that you want to say to the Fire Emblem community?
I love you. Everyone's been so nice and welcoming, and it's incredible to have made this journey from fan to being a part of it. It still feels unreal, and everyone's support. When I see, like, I forget that Ash is a character in the game. It feels like she's just like my D&D OC or something like that, and then I'm like, oh, she is real. Other people like her, and everyone, like, I saw someone like on Twitter be like, oh, Ash should be in Smash, and I was like, you know who Ash is? Other people know who Ash is. Yeah. I play the games without sound because it freaks me out if I hear my own voice, because I'm like, Ash is real?
Yeah.
But truly, the Fire Emblem community has been so kind to me. I love you guys. I hope to be a part of it for many more years to come.
Yeah, it is great. Lately too, that I've noticed, and a lot of people I've interviewed that are becoming part of Heroes are people that have never done voiceover before.
Yeah, it's been really cool, especially because Heroes has such a big voice cast. I feel like they had to be like, okay, we already got Yuri Lowenthal for like 2 guys. We got to get someone else in here, which is really nice to see, because it makes such an interesting cast because you have a lot of different voices and stuff.
So I know that your career is still getting started, but my final question is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, I feel like I'm in Hamilton now. Wow. I really want to make work that makes people like in their darkest times feel happy, because like, and that can be really, really serious work, or it can be really, really silly stuff like Ash, or I don't know if Ash is silly, but she turns into a cow and fires laser beams. Because when I was growing up, there were things that like, when I watched Haruhi Suzumiya, for example, it really touched me when I was in I was very depressed, and that like explained it entirely for me. It like summed everything up that I was going through. And you wouldn't think that of just like some random anime that's about a girl who's a god. But then also during college, Little Witch Academia helped me out a lot, because it was just so positive and about never giving up and stuff like that. And I want to be able to make work that affects people in that way, whether it's serious or light, but that is able to help give them the motivation to keep going, because so much art has done that for me, and I want to do that as well.
Well, thank you. Glad that we got to do this.
Yay, I'm so glad too. I was so nervous.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I hope I did okay.
Yeah, it was good. Well,
yay.
Hope you have a good rest of your day then.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.